Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles. Riley Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au, and he's always across the latest celebrity headlines. Riley, great to see you.
Great to be here.
Prince William, he's reportedly furious after it emerged that Meghan Markle is still using her HRH title despite...
In a move no one saw coming, Prince William has quietly stripped Camilla's family of their royal privileges, and the fallout is shaking the palace to its core. No announcement, no warning, just silent edits to guest lists, titles, and protocol. Camilla's son, grandchildren, even her ceremonial connections, gone. And when the Queen Consort found out, her reaction said it all. Rage, tears, and retreat. Sources say she screamed, "How dare he erase my family?" What pushed William to act now? And is this the first sign that the future king is already reshaping the monarchy from within? The silence just got loud. Quiet order, loud impact. It started with a memo, simple, internal, not meant for public eyes. But inside palace walls, it was anything but ordinary. Prince William signed off on a quiet update. Remove Camilla's family from royal privileges. No announcement, no press release. Just protocol edits sent directly to staff. He did it like a surgeon, one insider whispered. Silent but surgical, precise, final. First came the seating charts, subtle removals. Tom Parker Bowles no longer listed. Camilla's grandchildren, names quietly gone. Invitations for upcoming events revised. No more ceremonial roles, no front row placements, no insider access. "We just stopped printing them," a planner admitted. It was handled discreetly, but the effect was massive. Royal staff began adjusting web content. Mentions of Camilla's family disappeared from official bios. Photos were taken down. Links removed. "It was like they'd never existed," said one IT manager. What was once a blended image of royal unity turned into a razor-sharp focus on Windsor blood only. And the whispers started fast. The move was meant to be quiet, but word spread like fire. By the time palace employees pieced together the pattern, the story was already leaking. It was a sea change, a senior aide confirmed. No press statement needed. The change was already in motion, and its impact didn't stop at staff. It shook the monarchy's core and reached Camilla's heart. One quiet memo triggered a royal landslide. But what exactly did William revoke? What titles, access, and recognition vanished from Camilla's family overnight? As the world scrambled to understand the depth of this reset, insiders were already uncovering just how far it went. Coming up next, the titles stripped, the roles cancelled, and the message behind it all: only blood counts now. What titles were removed? William didn't just trim a guest list, he dismantled a framework. Camilla's family had been quietly woven into the royal routine. But now, piece by piece, it was all gone. Tom Parker Bowles, removed from every honorary role. Her grandchildren, ceremonial invites revoked. All access gone overnight, said a senior aide, and that was just the beginning. Official invitations stopped. Events that once included Camilla's family as part of the inner circle no longer carried their names. Even minor appearances, church walks, balcony waves, small, private dinners, gone. Royal security, once offered as a courtesy, was cancelled. "They're private citizens again," explained a protocol officer. It wasn't a demotion. It was erasure. The royal website reflected it first. Photos and descriptions linking Camilla's family to palace functions vanished. Biographies once containing subtle acknowledgments now read clean. They were included quietly and now deleted just as quietly, said a digital staffer. It wasn't loud, but it was permanent. The monarchy had redrawn its inner circle. Camilla's allies were furious. "How dare he erase my family?" she reportedly shouted. Loyalists inside the palace were outraged. To them, this was more than protocol. It was personal. "They were never royals, but they were family," said a friend of Camilla's. But William's message was simple and clear. No more blurred lines. From now on, the crown belongs to Windsor blood only. As the dust settled from William's quiet takedown, the palace watched one woman closely: Camilla. The move didn't just target her family, it cut deep into her influence. And when she found out, everything inside Clarence House changed. Next, the moment Camilla learned the truth, her explosive reaction, and the emotional collapse that followed. The Queen Consort was not going quietly, and the palace wasn't ready for the fallout. Camilla's explosive reaction. When the news reached Camilla, it didn't land quietly. It exploded. One aide described it simply: she erupted. Tears, rage, disbelief, all at once. The Queen Consort was said to have thrown her reading glasses across the room. "How dare he erase my family?" she reportedly screamed. Staff froze. No one had seen her like this in years. Doors slammed. Meals were refused. Camilla locked herself in her private room for hours. She demanded answers from every corner of the palace. "Fix it!" she reportedly shouted at a senior aide. "Who approved this? Who gave him that right?" But she already knew the answer. It was William, and that knowledge sent her spiraling deeper. Her staff tried to calm her, but she wasn't interested. She repeated one phrase over and over: "They're trying to obliterate me." This wasn't just about her family. It was about her legacy. For years, she had worked to integrate her world into Charles's monarchy. And in a single move, it felt like it was all undone. "She felt erased," said a longtime assistant. Within 48 hours, Camilla pulled out of 2 private events. The palace called it a rest day, but insiders knew the truth. It was emotional withdrawal, one courtier confirmed. She didn't want to be seen, she didn't want to pretend. Clarence House went into quiet lockdown. The Queen Consort, once so present, suddenly disappeared from sight. The crisis wasn't public, but it was very real. William's strategy. Prince William didn't act from emotion. He acted with intent. Behind the memo was a bigger goal: reshape the monarchy's image, tighten its core, and eliminate confusion about who belongs. He's not just the heir. He's the editor-in-chief of the monarchy now, said a palace aide. This was about optics, legacy, and control. Every decision removed personal favoritism. It wasn't about punishing Camilla. It was about drawing a clear line. The crown is not a blended family, a senior advisor noted. William wanted the public to see only Windsor faces in official settings. It was a return to simplicity, a reset rooted in Queen Elizabeth II's model of a lean, streamlined monarchy. This strategy didn't come out of nowhere. Recent polling showed the public growing weary of extended royal ties, especially those not born into the family. The line between official duties and personal guests had blurred too far. People don't want taxpayer money connected to plus ones, a political commentator explained. William was listening, not just leading. With this move, William took control of the monarchy's future narrative. It's not about popularity, it's about preservation, said a royal historian. By focusing on Windsor bloodlines, he sent a clear message. This institution must last, and that means making hard decisions now. Personal feelings came second to public clarity. William's strategy was sharp, but not without consequence. Because while he was streamlining the monarchy, he was also unraveling years of careful planning. Camilla hadn't spent decades climbing back into royal favor for nothing. Behind the scenes, she had built her own quiet empire, and it was now collapsing. Coming up, how Camilla's long game fell apart, and the specific moments William decided enough was enough. Camilla's long game comes undone. Camilla didn't rise overnight. For decades, she worked to blend her world into the royal one, carefully, slowly. She invited her children and grandchildren to events, lobbied for their visibility, and subtly carved space within the monarchy. She was always playing the long game, said a former royal staffer, and for a while, it worked. She secured quiet invitations for Tom Parker Bowles, even during official tours. Her grandchildren were included in photo calls, garden parties, and family ceremonies. It was never loud, but it was constant, one aide observed. Every appearance added legitimacy. The public didn't question it. The palace didn't block it. Camilla's family became part of the background. The coronation was her boldest move. Her grandchildren were given ceremonial roles, something unheard of for non-Windsors. It raised eyebrows, but few dared oppose it publicly. She turned a courtesy into protocol, noted a royal analyst. That move, more than any other, sparked quiet concern among senior courtiers, and William took note. Now, all of that groundwork was being rolled back. William's memo undid years of placements and permissions in days. It was surgical, one planner said. No drama, just removal. Camilla's quiet dynasty crumbled, not with headlines, but with spreadsheets. Her influence, built slowly, was dismantled quickly. The message was clear. The crown does not stretch across two family trees. Camilla had played the long game, but William had just played the final move. Now all eyes turned to the man caught in the middle, King Charles. Torn between loyalty to his wife and respect for his son, the king faced an impossible choice. And when the dust cleared, even his authority was questioned. Coming up next, how Charles reacted, and why this family shift could define the final years of his reign. Charles, between loyalty and legacy. King Charles was reportedly visibly shaken when the memo reached him. William hadn't consulted him directly. It wasn't a request, it was a notification. The king was blindsided, one insider revealed. For a moment, he tried to reverse it. He called his son. He appealed to reason, but William stood firm. The decision had already been implemented, and the king's influence, for once, didn't hold. Charles was torn. He loved Camilla. She had been his constant, his partner through scandal and recovery. But he also understood the optics. Public backlash had been growing over the years. He knew the criticism was real, said a former royal aide. Charles wasn't just a husband, he was a monarch. And now, the two roles clashed. Health complications only deepened the crisis. Charles, already weakened by illness, didn't have the energy to fight both William and the press. His advisors urged him not to interfere. The public won't tolerate more favoritism, one strategist warned. Deep down, Charles knew they were right, but letting go wasn't easy. He felt like he was betraying her, said a longtime friend. In the end, Charles stayed silent. No statement, no reversal. Camilla's tears continued behind closed doors, but the king retreated from the battlefield. He chose legacy over loyalty, one observer noted. This wasn't just another royal rift, It was the moment Charles realized he no longer controlled the future. His reign now existed between two powerful forces: the past he built and the future his son demanded. Kate and William's united front. While the storm raged inside the palace, one thing remained constant. Catherine stood firmly beside William. She didn't issue statements. She didn't correct rumors. She didn't need to. Her silence was alignment. She supports him fully, a royal aide confirmed. Behind the scenes, she reinforced every move, every memo. There was no division between them, only resolve. Publicly, Catherine remained gracious. With Camilla, she was described as friendly but distant. Smiles were exchanged, but there was no warmth behind them anymore. "She's courteous, but the connection is gone," said a former court photographer. She knew how to play the part, but the emotional separation was complete. Her loyalty wasn't to the past, it was to the future, and that meant standing with William. Together, they didn't speak a word to the press, but the symbolism was loud. Photos of the couple with their children became more frequent. Their public image sharpened, a modern royal unit, calm and focused. "They didn't have to say anything," noted one royal commentator. "Their presence said it all." And behind that, a clear message. This is the next generation. Their own children were quietly excluded from overlapping events with Camilla's family. Nothing dramatic, just subtle, consistent absence. No shared outings, no cross-family appearances. "It was intentional," said a palace planner. "A symbolic shift. One generation moving forward, the other fading back." And in that silence, William and Catherine took their place. Not just as heirs, but as the monarchy's anchor. While William and Catherine stood firm, the palace itself began to tremble. The quiet reset sent staff scrambling, departments clashing, and tensions rising. No one spoke publicly, but inside the walls of Buckingham and Clarence House, chaos brewed. Next, we step into the palace's response. Urgent meetings, altered protocols, and whispers of loyalty splitting. This wasn't just a family fallout. It was a royal Cold War. Palace in red alert. The moment William's orders landed, palace staff were thrown into overdrive. Event coordinators were the first to feel it. Seating plans revised, guest lists reprinted. "It was chaos," said one veteran planner. "We were told to make changes, but not talk about them." Even the most seasoned aides hadn't seen such a sudden shift. Internal emails flew back and forth between departments. Names were removed, mentions erased, roles reassigned. Staff were instructed to keep everything discreet, but tensions flared. Some were furious, others relieved, a communications officer shared. It wasn't just about who was in or out, it was about where loyalties lay. The royal household, usually so controlled, started to show cracks. Royal communications issued no public response. There were no corrections, no denials, just silence. That silence was strategic, one senior aide confirmed. Speaking would only confirm the divide. And so a new playbook emerged. Say nothing, do everything. Every protocol decision whispered a new royal structure, one where the crown was shrinking around Windsor only. Inside, factions began to form. Staff, once aligned under one vision, now hesitated. Clarence House aides quietly defended Camilla's circle. Kensington Palace staff doubled down behind William and Catherine. "It felt like two different courts," a junior assistant revealed. The tension wasn't loud, but it was constant. The palace had become a battlefield. Only the uniforms stayed the same. As whispers tore through the palace, the outside world caught wind of the storm. Leaked details hit headlines. Social media split in seconds. What began as an internal adjustment exploded into global debate. Coming next, the media firestorm, the rise of #Team William versus #Team Camilla, and how public opinion is now playing a bigger role than the crown itself ever expected. Media storm and public pulse. It didn't take long. The headlines wrote themselves. Prince William strips Camilla's family of royal privileges, declared tabloids. The press called it a royal quake. "We haven't seen fallout like this since Diana," said one veteran royal correspondent. The world wasn't just watching, they were choosing sides. TV pundits jumped in fast. Some applauded the move, calling it bold, necessary, and overdue. "The monarchy needs clarity, not compromise," said one political analyst. Others defended Camilla. "She earned her place," argued a morning host. The debate spilled onto social platforms. Hashtags exploded. #Team William trended alongside #Team Camilla. The crown wasn't just in crisis, it was in the spotlight. Polls reflected the shift. A majority backed William's move. Voters wanted a tighter, clearer monarchy. One poll showed 63% of respondents agreed Camilla's family shouldn't have ceremonial roles. "People support bloodline over bonus family," explained a data consultant. It was a public referendum, and William was winning it. Still, royal watchers warned this wasn't just strategy. It was a test. "This is William's first real act as future king," said a commentator. How he handles the fallout could define his legacy. Catherine's rising approval made it easier. Camilla's silence made it harder. But one thing was certain. The royal brand had just shifted. And everyone, inside the palace or out, could feel it. Camilla's power recedes. Camilla, once a steady force inside the palace, suddenly found herself isolated. Her public engagements began to drop. One by one, her scheduled appearances were quietly cancelled or postponed. "She's emotionally withdrawn," a senior aide said. Not a statement, just a whispered observation. The Queen Consort, once present at nearly every royal function, had started to disappear. Behind the scenes, her influence declined. Event briefings she once led were now overseen by others. Her opinions, once echoed by loyal courtiers, were now met with silence. "You could feel the air shift around her," said a longtime staffer. For the first time since marrying Charles, she was no longer part of the strategic pulse. Upcoming royal programs, once guaranteed to include her family, began arriving without their names. They weren't just off the lists, they were no longer considered. Her legacy plans just collapsed, a former planner admitted. What she spent years building was dismantled in weeks, quietly, decisively. What remained was a woman stunned by how quickly the tide had turned. "She thought she'd secured her place," a royal commentator noted. But the crown is a living force. It shifts with public mood, family dynamics, and political winds. Camilla hadn't lost her title, but she had lost her grip, and she knew it. Camilla's retreat wasn't just emotional, it was symbolic. Her sidelining marked a return to an older royal model, one where clarity mattered more than compromise. William's reset wasn't random. It followed a path set long before him. Coming up next, how this new direction echoes the rule book of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, and why the monarchy may be stronger, though colder, because of it. Annexing the monarchy's heart. What William did wasn't new, it was familiar. His blueprint came from the past. Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip ran a monarchy built on duty, not personality. They cut emotional ties for the crown's survival, a historian noted. William wasn't reinventing anything. He was returning to form. Gone were the blurred lines of a blended family. The crown had to be crystal clear again. Ceremonial roles, state appearances, family symbolism, they all needed to reflect lineage, not marriage. "It's Windsor or nothing now," a royal official explained. William wasn't acting out of spite. He was recentering the monarchy's message. The shift wasn't just about Camilla's family. It was about everyone on the edge of royal influence. Invitations were rechecked, titles reevaluated, partnerships reassessed. "This is a monarchy restructuring itself," said a political analyst. William understood what many didn't. Perception is everything. A strong monarchy doesn't wobble, it defines. The tone is colder, yes, but more controlled. The institution now speaks with one voice. "We are a duty-bound dynasty," one palace memo reportedly stated. Not a family, not a collection of favored friends, a dynasty. And that tone, sharpened by William and supported by Catherine, is what will guide the crown into the next chapter. But even as the monarchy took shape under William's silent hand, the emotional cost was mounting. Relationships had shifted, trust lines had broken. The palace may be more organized, but it's also more divided. Next, how the family itself is responding behind closed doors. The growing distance between Charles and William, and why this may be the deepest family split since the days of Princess Diana. Family rift deepens. Inside the royal family, the atmosphere turned cold. Charles, once the unifying figure, now found himself between two realities. His loyalty to Camilla hadn't changed, but his son had drawn a line and crossed it. He didn't just assert power, he exposed the fracture, a palace aide revealed. And that fracture split deeper than anyone admitted. Camilla withdrew further. She didn't attend key meetings, she stopped hosting informal dinners. Her voice was missing in family discussions. She felt betrayed, one close friend said. Charles, emotionally torn, tried to protect her, but his silence only widened the gap. The Queen Consort's presence dimmed while the future king's influence exploded. William and Kate grew stronger through it all. Their alignment was total. "They speak as one now," said a royal insider, and that unity gave them more power than ever. The more Camilla and Charles faded, the more William and Kate filled the void. The balance shifted. Without an official change, a new era had begun. Anne remained neutral, but observant. The royal family's longtime enforcer didn't take sides publicly, but insiders say she respects protocol, and William was defending protocol. "Anne supports the crown, not comfort," said one commentator. And for now, that means standing still, but watching everything. The last time this many loyalties fractured, the palace was mourning Diana. The family is no longer whole. The palace is no longer quiet. And the monarchy, though structurally stable, stands emotionally divided. But one question remains: what happens next? Camilla isn't gone. Charles still reigns. And William, though rising, hasn't taken the throne. In our final chapter, we ask, is this reset permanent? Or just the opening move in a royal game still far from over? What comes next? The monarchy isn't done shifting. It's just paused, waiting. Camilla may have stepped back, but she hasn't stepped away. She's wounded, not defeated, one insider warned. There's speculation she may redefine her role, step into charitable work, focus on private life, or quietly rebuild influence. But one thing is clear: her days as a power player inside the institution are over, for now. Charles has a decision to make. Does he protect what remains of Camilla's presence? Or does he let William reshape the crown unchallenged? "He's caught between love and legacy," said a royal historian. "Every choice he makes now defines how his reign will be remembered. If he resists William, he risks division. If he doesn't, he loses part of his own story." Anne, the monarchy's compass, stands by. If the crown veers too far off course or too close to scandal, she's expected to step in. "She's the one who will preserve structure," said a senior aide. "Her neutrality today could become enforcement tomorrow." The Queen's daughter remains the crown's quiet sword. And William? He hasn't made his last move. This was just the first. The silent memo was no accident. It was a statement. I'm ready, not just to inherit, but to lead. This is his soft launch, a commentator noted. When the crown officially passes, the world won't be surprised, because the reign of William has already begun. Camilla may still wear the crown beside King Charles, but her grip on palace power has been shattered. William's quiet reset wasn't just about titles. It was a statement, one that put Windsor blood back at the monarchy's center and reminded everyone, legacy trumps loyalty. As Camilla retreats from the spotlight and Charles watches history shift beneath his feet, the real question now is, what's next? Will Camilla fight back, or has William already claimed control of the throne in everything but name? The first act of his reign has begun, and the rest of the royal family can feel it.